This is Travis Wayne Goodsell, and good morning, Mormons, because that is my target audience. But I get a lot of people who aren't Mormon, or who aren't Mormon anymore, who come to my site, because I have more information about what's wrong with the church than any other critic, despite them being more popular. I know that yesterday I had planned to do some stuff today, and then as I was going to bed realized Creed 2 is coming out today on DVD. So I'll be in great need of obtaining that today. Hopefully they won't be pulling the stunt that Disney is pulling with their DVDs. Both The Incredibles 2 and Ralph Wrecks the Internet have both poor quality DVDs, which is forcing every one of us to upgrade to Blu-ray or stream in order to watch it, and so that ain't cool. That Disney is purposely destroying a product in order to force their customers to buy a specific product of theirs in order to get good quality. That would be a crime in normal circumstances, but our government will not hold businesses in check. Similar to the president, Congress will not keep the president in check. And like I said, even though the House is doing all these investigations, it's meaningless because the Senate is dominantly Republican. Alright, so nobody's interested in my politics here on YouTube, as I've been told, as people have tried to silence me when I do speak out on politics. But Mormons should know that politics and religion go hand in hand, especially in the state of Utah, where the Mormon Church controls the legislature. That's something that our founding fathers, when they created the Constitution, did not anticipate. They did not anticipate a rising religion among the old European religions that would come to America, because they mixed in the various states so that it was equaled out for voting time. And so they didn't count on a rogue religion that would spring up in America and have to be controlled as they flee westward in advance of the businesses and corporations that were expanding westward, slaughtering the American Indians and enslaving the blacks and Chinese to build America. So, yeah, I realized I used "the" for blacks. That's inappropriate, I guess. So sorry about that. I must give non-disclosure, or I must give full disclosure, that my third great-grandmother was according to 23andMe, a slave from West Africa. She was raped as a teenage girl by my third great-grandfather. And so even though it's only 1/64, which doesn't qualify me as being black, I understand we're all human. So my maternal line comes from Egypt in its origins. My paternal line had migrated immediately to Mesopotamia from Egypt. And then Neanderthals. The more 23andMe finds more people as customers, the more I have Neanderthal blood in me compared to others that are signing up. But it's still not as much. Alright, welcome to Derek Schenefelt, who subscribed to me at 10:43 p.m. last night. Yeah, I also came up with another thing to work on. I need to revise my website to be YouTube compatible. I don't want to just transfer the YouTube videos over. My website doesn't handle uploading anything more than 5 minutes, which is unfortunate. But oh, I'm in trouble with MD. LDS Mormon Church corrupts their youth. CTY dating. Oh, you brought this up. Back when I thought leaders might be divinely inspired, much like a child wanting to believe Santa is real, still clinging to that last strand of hope and trying to ignore what they suspect is truth. I've uncovered some deep-seated issues here in MD. I went to my bishop for advice and comfort. Did he excommunicate you? He told me he felt inspired to give me this pamphlet for Strength of the Youth, most likely, because she's a youngin' compared to me. And I should go home, read it, and listen for spiritual promptings on how to move forward in my life. Oh man, this was at a time when I was feeling very down and discouraged. He made the mistake of inviting me back to return and report a few weeks later. Oh man, that meeting went something like this. Me: Bishop, are you aware that you gave me something to read titled For the Strength of Youth? Bishop: yes. Me: so you did that on purpose? Bishop: yes. Me: and you are aware that I am struggling, middle-aged, divorced, single mother? Wait a minute. You didn't get this as a child? Wait a minute. Huh, okay. Wow, I assumed things here. The bishop gave you this, huh? Oh man, not cool, Bishop. Perhaps the church has published something along the lines of For Strength of Middle-Aged Single Women, or For the Strength of Divorced and Now Distraught and Depressed Single Ladies. All the divorced single ladies, all the divorced single ladies, put a ring on it. Or For the Strength of the Single Mom. He did not actually answer me regarding the existence of some tiny inspired church published writings specifically to my situation. The church actually has a marriage manual. Can't remember the title. Yeah, I can't remember the title now. Bishop, I felt specifically inspired to give you a copy For the Strength of Youth and encourage you to study it. Did you do this? Bishop is treating MD as a child. This is not cool, Bishop. Me: yes, I did. Bishop: and what did the Spirit teach you? Spirit taught me that the church isn't true anymore. Goodbye, Bishop. Let's see. Me. The Spirit testified to me that this tiny church-published pamphlet of was one of the most uninspired pieces of crap ever put together. And if this is the best God's prophet and inspired leaders can offer me, they didn't actually write it. Like I said in other videos, I have been a church service missionary for the curriculum department back in 2000 to 2004. The prophets don't do anything. They just sit on their thrones, make decisions, go on vacations throughout the world, giving appearances. They don't do anything. They pass all questions to stake presidents now. They do not reply to you unless you tell them how great they are. You know, such as a little kid drawing a little crayon picture. I love you, prophet. And then they'll do a response saying, oh, keep up the faith, obey, pay your tithing. But they will not respond to anything anymore. Oh, man. So, yeah, the church did not write this, and it was church service missionaries like myself at that time who wrote that. I was working at the distribution center on the pick line in the warehouse, and we were approached by our supervisor, or manager, I guess, over the department. And he said, hey, the church has come out with these, and the church wants you guys to read it over and provide any advice or input on them if you could. And I read over it, and I immediately identified, wait a minute, under R-rated movies, there's a period after don't watch R-rated movies. That is not what President Benson said in his April 1986 conference talk on the subject. There is to explain which type of R-rated movies not to go to. And so you have to look at the whole context, and then further down in his talk, he then goes over Article of Faith number 13, though he doesn't specifically specify Article of Faith number 13. He just reiterates it in his own words. Article of Faith number 13 is the official church policy for any and all forms of entertainment. So when the internet came along, everybody was confused. Oh, prophet, please tell us what to do and where to search on the internet, because we're confused. The answer was already in the church, in the Article of Faith number 13. Anything that is beautiful, lovely, of good report, or praiseworthy, we seek after these things. So if there's a song, shout at the devil, or bring your daughter to the slaughter, like a virgin, we seek after these things. But as you can see, all aesthetics are arbitrary to the person listening or watching or whatever senses we have. And so I hope members don't understand this. And so there's paranoia and freaking out and Canadians laughing at Americans because in Canada they have different ratings. There are R-rated movies in America that in Canada are a PG-14, something like that, rating. And so for Canadian Mormons, they're watching these R-rated movies. So when you meet them at BYU or Rick's, as I did, they will talk about having seen this R-rated movie, and whereas the Utah Mormons, they were like, oh, that's R-rated R. We're not allowed to watch that. And then at Rick's, they had their movie theater where they'd censor the movies in violation of copyright law, and so turning PG-13 movies into PG-rated movies, and I don't think they did R, unless it was an R-rated movie that had only one word back in the day. But I don't remember any offhand. Yeah, they had specific students who were editors of the copyright of movies and violating the copyright. And it wouldn't surprise me if one of those such students went on to do the Utah DVD device that censors movies, and that Hollywood found out about and said, oh, no, you can't sell this. No, you cannot have our movies censored. And during the court process, a couple of teenage girls were paid $20 each for certain sexual favors, shall we say, in their back room of their little shop. And so, yeah, they got shut down immediately, and that ended the controversy. So, yeah. So, yeah, there's total chaos, mass. I can't remember the quote. So, chaos, or no, not mass hysteria is last. Dogs and cats living together, mass hysteria going on. Okay. Let's see. Encouraged me, yes I did. And what the Spirit teaches, the Spirit testified to me that this is crap. Yada yada, babble babble, blah blah blah. More useless dribble between the bishop and myself. Bishop, are you questioning my calling from the Lord as your bishop and ability to receive revelation on your behalf? Yes. Me, well, I was questioning it. Now I'm convinced you're just full of poop. Which cartoon movie, or yeah, it was a movie where monkeys were flinging poo. Was it the Madagascar movie? I can't remember. Called by men full of poop. Then I got lippy. And the woman scorned and let loose, and in me let loose. We had a fabulous verbal power struggle. It was very satisfying. I am woman, hear me roar. You go, girl. Point of that story is to show that I am familiar with the awful little pamphlet this video is highlighting. I hate it. This situation is one of the bullet points in my personal narrative, detailing the events leading up to the eventual excommunication of me and my big mouth. It's a good story. I'm happy to be on the list of those X'd because they could not shut up and conform. Oh, MD, you sweetheart. Oh, man. Alright, so planning my next video has 3. Terry Carlson says great. Oh, okay, others have already commented. Okay. Man. So, what was I planning? Because I think I got distracted, as I've been distracted today with Creed 2 and other things previous days I've been distracted. So, I try to remember and get to what I can. I have them on notes, but we'll see. Alright, LDS comment replies. Oh, and I made a playlist for comment replies, as Joseph, or Messiah Ben Joseph from had suggested, which I'd already been doing with other videos, but then decided, you know what, maybe I should have one for comments now that I'm doing this on a regular basis. So I've now created a comment reply playlist, but I'm not going to bother going back to all the old comment replies to put them in. That would take too long to figure it all out. Because some of them didn't get titled comment replies. Alright, 1. C.E. Mason. He just replied 1. Is that supposed to be some code number, like 1488? Every gang has their signs. C.E. Mason is now commenting 2 under my video. LDS Church is under attack, taking severe casualties. What are you up to, C.E. Mason? Okay, now we're at my other favorite, Jennifer Flower. She replied on LDS Mormon comment replies, making friends and enemies, using The Legend of the Seeker as the thumbnail and the theme song at the in the description. The guy in the video I sent you talked about how Mormonism is not and never has been racist, and then explains why. Okay, so it was a different video. Okay. Oh man. Yeah. So, yeah. The Mormon youth are being deceived, just as I was as a child as well. For example, my third great-grandfather is John Solomon Fulmer. He's the one who was passed down to his descendants, of which I am one of them, that he had given Joseph Smith his gun to protect him while he went out on the secret errand to go get the militia to protect Joseph Smith. And unfortunately, the mob from the Warsaw Lodge, Freemason Lodge, got there before he could return. And then the governor's militia also arrived before my third great-grandfather's militia could arrive. And so, yeah, it was ugly that morning, or afternoon, I guess, because the hands on the watch that have now been taken off to cover up the time of when it actually occurred, because John Taylor was shot by Joseph Smith. If you go back to my video on the real Carthage conspiracy. And so there were things like that that I knew from my family, passing it on down. You know, sort of like one of Joseph Smith's wives, Desdemona Fulmer, John Solomon Fulmer's sister. We all knew in the family she was sealed after Joseph Smith died, but the church had altered the records and made her married before Joseph Smith died. So that's how I know all of those records have been purposely manufactured to blame Joseph Smith for polygamy. And then I did that 3-volume video series on Joseph Smith did not commit polygamy. So, alrighty. So yeah, sorry Jennifer, I guess I was thinking of the wrong video of his. I don't know if I can, let's see if I can find the video link that you provided. I have to go to YouTube anyway to delete the notifications. Let's see, March 4th. Is it this one? Nope. Is it this one? Nope. Is it this one? Nope. It's not those. What is that doing in here? We don't need that. Oh, that's why. Nope. Hey. Come on and lie to me, tell me you love me. There it is. Okay. Alright, let's go to this guy. Cursed. I am a black Mormon. Let's talk about racism, part 1. Alright, let's... No. Okay, so it's not cooperating. It's doing a... Alright, and we can now delete this. Alright. Oh, look at that. Derek Scheinfeld has a little Simpsons cartoon character of himself. Isn't that cool? Okay, let's click on it from here. Alrighty. Okay, so he has an introduction of blacks marching, holding the American flag, and Martin Luther King Jr., all are alike unto God, both Jew and Gentile, quote. K-Waku. And then baptizing of blacks. Wait a minute. They aren't Mormon. Alright. Is the gospel
I live in Utah right now. Utah is pretty divided sometimes on the church.
Pretty divided? Talk about segregated. Have any of your ancestors talked to you about segregation and how they have been oppressed in the United States? Utah is segregated. There is less than 1% of blacks in Utah. If you don't believe me, Google what percentage of Utah is black. And let's see, we have to actually click on the site because it doesn't say. And okay, so 2.6 million white and 48,000 black. You do the math. I'd have to get up and get my calculator if I were to do it. The only population less than blacks in Utah is the native Hawaiian Pacific Islander. And that's surprising. I thought there were more. I guess not. But they too are segregated. They can only live in the poor housing. And they all seem to live in one particular area of Kearns where my parents were forced to get an apartment waiting for their new suburban household in Riverton of the White District to be built. And so that wasn't a good thing when my mom had lied to me and my first wife, who now formally called my wife, saying that, oh yeah, the house is all built, it'll be ready when you get here, you can live in the basement. It'll have its own kitchen, its own thing. So we drive down in the U-Haul van, and all our stuff, all our possessions, our two kids. We had a half that was conceived in February, or let's see, 9 months, maybe January, and yeah, she was not happy. I was not happy that we had to live in the living room for the first while when we moved down here of their little apartment building. So yeah, and it was a Polynesian ward that my parents had to go to while they were there. And of course, my mom, being the white supremacist that she is, I guess she's still alive. I get an occasional Gmail because somebody narked and gave it to her when I had Facebook. And so, yeah. So 2.6 million white and only 48% or 48,000 black. And yes, segregated because of the Genesis group and the Polynesian wards and the American Indian and Alaskan Natives. They really don't have members. And then Asian wards, there's the Korean ward, or branch, I guess, and of course the Spanish wards for Hispanic Latinos. The church is segregated.
A lot of times Utah has this members of the church and not members of the church attitude, and that happens when...
Yeah, and I'm going to have to point that out on my lawsuit against the church. So I'm not just going after the government for violating the Constitution. I have to go against the church, and part of that is the polarization that the church is causing, because they cannot have a fair trial. I cannot have a fair prosecution to redress grievances because of this polarization that our founding fathers did not foresee. Okay.
When there's a high density of any group, there often becomes a this group, that group mentality. So you have people who really
learn about the history in the South.
Believe in the gospel of Jesus Christ, who believe in this church, and then you have those who...
See, because for me, white cracker apparently is supposed to be a derogatory term. I am unaware of it. I grew up in a white supremacist family, so I didn't know about the meaning behind white cracker. And yet, for some reason, blacks educate their own children on the repression, the suppression, the slavery, the horrific conditions that have been treated upon them and their ancestors, generation after generation. They're reminded that you don't want to have a white man call you boy, for example. Apparently that's the equivalent of being called a white cracker. But I'm unfamiliar with white cracker, so I have nothing to relate to it. And then people try to call me racist, and so I bring up my third-grade grandmother, and I'm confused as to which racist I should be, a black racist or a white racist. I have no idea. I thought we were all human, because I rebelled against my mother's racism.
were very opposed to both those things. And in the dialogue between those who love the church and hate the church comes the subject of racism. If you know about the church and you know about Google, then you know about the church's history with race. It's usually a white person talking to a white person about it. And the first thing they think about when they think about black people and the church is something racist Brigham Young said. Based on what I've seen in my interactions,
Why didn't you go to the talks of Brigham Young and find out that it is Brigham Young? Which General Conference did Brigham Young take away the priesthood from blacks? And first thing that popped up was race in the priesthood from the mid-1800s. That doesn't give me a date. You can't go to the church. Mormon church traces black priesthood ban to Brigham Young. They trace it? Are you kidding me? They knew it. The Mormon church does not have to trace it. Oh, we need to go back into our history to find out when this happened. Oh my God. The Salt Lake Tribune fell for this? Are you kidding me? Oh, Brigham Young may have started the priesthood ban on blacks. Oh my God. Trib, come on. From 1849. There we go. Wikipedia. Thank you. 1849. It would have been the General Conference in 1849. Remember when the pioneers arrived in the valley? 24th of July, 1847. So immediately he starts off with banning blacks from the priesthood. Then it was 1853 that he banned, or he started polygamy. So apparently he had to wait a few years before getting the urge. Oh God. 1849. Do your history research.
Usually those who are against the church who bring up the subject of race don't care anything about early black members of the church and the early black pioneers of the church.
No, they do, actually. They're keen to point out, oh, Joseph Smith gave the priesthood to blacks. Okay. Wait a minute, Brigham Young in 1849 took it away at a conference talk. The inspired man of God, successor to Joseph Smith, received revelation directly from the voice of Jesus Christ himself to hate. That's what critics are criticizing about.
They could care less about any of those things. All they care about is...
See, he's pulling the reverse tactic of critics. He's accusing critics of not doing their research. When it's he himself who is not doing his research. On critics and on the church. So he's in the worst position here. You know, the beam and the mote thing? I think it was some guy named Jesus who talked about beam and mote.
Is highlighting that Brigham Young said racist things and enacted prejudiced policies. They never put that in.
Whoa. He had things flashing on the screen there as clarification. What was that? Wait a minute.
About when they think about black people and the church is something racist Brigham Young said. Based on what I've seen in my interactions, usually those who are against the church who bring up the subject of race don't care anything about early black members of the church and the early black pioneers of the church. They could care less about any of those things. All they care about is highlighting that Brigham Young said race.
Okay. The moment we consent to mingle with the seed of Cain, the church must go to destruction. We should receive the curse which has been placed upon the seed of Cain, and nevermore. Okay, so he's quoting Brigham Young from conference.
racist things and enacted prejudice.
When all of the other children of Adam have had the privilege of receiving the priesthood and of coming into the kingdom of God and of being redeemed from the four quarters of the earth and have received their resurrection from the dead, then it will be time enough to remove the curse and his posterity. Oh, he gave himself an out.
Policies. They never put that in context of Christian history with racism. They only isolate those.
What? Christian history? Context of Christian history? Oh, no. What is the church? Is it a Christian church? Is it a branch off from Christianity? Or is it something, I don't know, say a restored church of Christ?
Things. So when talking about race in the church, you can always differentiate if they actually care about black people and the church, or if they just care about Brigham Young. So in some...
Apparently you just care about Brigham Young.
I was like, quickly, let's talk about the history of racism and the LDS church. I'm like, all right, yeah, let's talk about Elijah Abel, Q. Walker Lewis, J. Manning James. Let's talk about...
Yeah, Joseph Smith, not Brigham Young.
How Captain Moroni's letter to Paharan has this fire of justice that's so similar to the fire of justice in the civil rights movement. Let's talk about how the Book of Mormon has a woven narrative in it about how racism is bad. And when I bring those up, the reaction...
What? No. No. In the other videos that I was referring to Jennifer about, I pointed out the actual history of America in the early 1800s. Remember the whole slave thing? And so what you have in the Book of Mormon is about people who are white originally, who are from Jerusalem. This is key to understanding the plot behind the Book of Mormon and its intention in the new America that is fully racist, fully bigoted, fully hateful, to the point where they don't care about the lives of other than white people. And so the Book of Mormon comes forward and says, hey, these Native American Indians, they were dark-skinned, but they were once white like us. They came from Jerusalem like us. See what the Book of Mormon's doing now? So when the Book of Mormon talks about cursing of skin color and pure and delightsome, they're trying to convince white people. Because remember, it's saying that white is who the Native American Indians are. They are just like white people. That was unheard of in the early 1800s. This was radical. And so Joseph Smith was playing on the suspicions and the tabloid journalism back in the day that the American Indians were the missing 10 tribe, and so Joseph Smith used that to try to save American Indians. But then, of course, he was murdered, and Brigham Young took over and also started killing Ute Mormons when they got here to the valley.
Is like, I don't care about that. I just Brigham Young. I don't like Brigham Young. Your church is stupid.
Yeah.
Mitt Romney has a dumb haircut. So often black people are just used as a...
SNL thinks he's got a great haircut. As long with all of his boys. I saw the skit about Mitt Romney on the balcony. His boys come out and he has to hide the milk carton.
Pawned by ex-Mormon or anti-Mormon white people to attack the church. That was a bold sentence I just said, but like, I don't care, it's true. This video's...
Yeah, nothing like being racist against racists.
into two parts. The first part being history of the church in regards to black people.
Okay, I already know his theme here, and because I saw the other video and commented and blah blah blah. He's taking a position that the church is true, that it was founded by Jesus Christ, and that men are weak, but God calls them to the office in their weakness, and they can do no wrong, that it is still inspired by God, even despite weakness. I would just refer to this young man whose channel is called Kwaku. I'm not sure if that's an African term for something, or if that's his African name. I don't know. I don't know African, or the specific dialect that this is. But this is what I keep talking about on other videos as well. If any member of the church, doesn't matter, black, white, bond free, male, female, it doesn't matter. If you have to stand up and demand that the church change, to stop being abusive, to stop being sexually horrific, to stop being racist, to stop interfering in politics and in government, whatever. If you have to ask the church or demand that the church change in order to allow for the rights of life, liberty, property, it's the wrong church. He's not getting it, because he is under the belief that at the core, the church is true. And the reason why is because of Joseph Smith. And he just assumes Brigham Young is the legitimate successor. No. He is dismissing all the others who branched off after Joseph Smith died. Even Emma Smith, who had the keys of the priesthood over women. I did that one yesterday. And apparently it didn't do as well as I was hoping it would. Or at least yesterday when I looked at it. Maybe overnight it did better, but... And so, yeah, the NAACP keeps coming to the church, asking the church to be more sensitive. The NAACP are not Mormon. They're most likely Christian, of whatever Christian group that they belong to, whether it's the same one or different Christian groups. It's unknown because it's a group separate from religion. They're just a group that tries to defend the rights of blacks in America. And so when they come to the church wanting the church to behave, it's inappropriate for the church to placate them by sending subordinates to talk with them, to give them the PR rhetoric, to say, oh, the church is working very hard on helping blacks, and yeah. No, blacks are still segregated. And Christians don't understand this, because for Christians, each church is separate and distinct from the body. There is no leader of the church in Christianity. In the Mormon church, there is a leader overall. And that's where the church gets into trouble legally, is because, you know, all these priests and nuns who are guilty of sexual assault and sodomy and abuses like this, well, the Pope is immune. He's untouchable, because he set it up to have all of his Catholic parishes to be separate and distinct, so that the parish leader, whatever title they give him, is responsible, not the Pope. And that is why you have the 300 arrests, and the Pope is able to go around telling everybody, behave. See, the church can't get away with that, because the church is the leadership. They control all of the churches, and that's why they get screwed over with lawsuits, is because when a person sues the church because of something the bishop did, the church has to then sign a non-disclosure agreement, or have the person sign a non-disclosure agreement in a mediation settlement. And so the church is continually paying out money to victims of abuse by bishops. And so that Mormons don't understand that. And when you have a Genesis group, when you have Spanish wards, Korean wards, deaf wards, singles wards, poor wards, rich wards, that's called segregation. And the church is responsible for that, because the church is responsible for the government, and government is responsible for the housing setup. Poor people get stuck in the cheap houses that are used and worn and still have lead paint. The rich people get the new subdivisions. They get to build their own homes, but mostly they're the new subdivisions. And Mormons just don't get it. They don't see it. They're living in it. They know it, but they just don't see it. Segregation is a part of their life, and they don't see it. You know, when my stake president, after I was divorced, brought me into his office to talk to me and said, hey, you know what? You should go to the younger singles ward. And he threw out all the Mormon coding. You understand why it's important, right? Celestial kingdom, you have to have a wife. And so he was telling me to get back on the saddle and go get a wife and get married and get out of my parents' hair that my parents were the cause of in the first place. And so how do you talk to somebody like this who knows of it but just doesn't see it?
And Latter-day Saint theology in regards to black people. Super important. Let's go. But right before...
This would be interesting. I see I'm at almost an hour now. So I will not get into his belief on theology. Because we still have 20 minutes on his video. So... Okay. Just sad. So, that's what I would say to him, Jennifer. Order replacement? What are you doing? No, you don't. I got it. They came. Alright. That's the saddest part of doing these video series, trying to help Mormons get out of Mormonism, is Mormons just don't see it. And when they see my videos, they see me saying, hey, church ain't true. The leaders don't have the keys of the priesthood to lead the church. They don't have the mantle. There is no revelation. There is no translations. There's abuse. There's segregation. There's racism. There's sexism. And Mormons, they know of it. They're living it. But they just don't see it. And instead, Mormon after Mormon after Mormon keep coming onto my channel to attack me about my appearance, about my intelligence, or lack thereof, as they want to insult me with, or threats. And in all fairness, it has slowed down. The number of threats from Mormons has slowed down. But it's going to pick up with every new Mormon that comes to my channel. I've had to ban a lot of people, though. So, yeah, the people that I've banned, they're still that way. They aren't changing. Oh, Travis banned me, therefore I'm in the wrong and must stop my behavior. That's not what they do. It's just sad. Mormons don't get it. When they attack me on my channel for pointing out the flaws of the church. The church is not untouchable. But Mormons come from it from a view that the church is true, that it's led by Jesus. And so when I attack the church, it's like attacking Jesus, and they then go on the defensive emotionally. So, what do you do? What do you do? Okay, so this may be the only video I end up doing this morning. Maybe today. Maybe I'll have a comment thing depending on the number of comments that I'll try to make room for in the evening. But yeah, it's just sad. Mormons just don't get it. They don't see it because they assume things, as MD was pointing out. When you have a bishop who assumes that the church is true and that he got his authority legitimately, that he was called by Jesus Christ through revelation by the stake president, and then they go and pull a stunt like that, treating adult members who are suffering as children. It ain't right. Okay. So yeah, it's my intention to turn my videos into a product on my website. Most likely I'll have them for free. I don't see any reason to charge for them. But I'll convert them into an audio as well. So an audio as well as a video will be available. That way MD can listen to the audios. So she doesn't have to watch my face. And yeah, and I'll even do a little clip from the videos that I do. That should be easy enough to do. I've got a video editor that I can take out a clip from it. It'll have to, well, it'll be tough trying to find a decent enough quote to promote it. But I'll do a little video clip that will be available because my website will allow those 1-minute clips. So, all right, that's my intention, but that's going to be a big project because I gotta move current pages under the archives, and then redo my YouTube one, and because I had started a YouTube page, but it didn't go anywhere, so it got archived, but I need to redo it. So that's going to take some time to do all that. So yeah, I doubt it'll be today because of everything that has to be done today. So a needle pulling thread. But yeah, I need to save America because nobody else is, and save members from the church. So a lot to do, and Gilder to frame for it. Let me stop the video first before I go to the internet.